Hi, I'm Parker Miley,
I'm Tim Benjamin.
and this is the Rage Podcast, where today we're going to discuss what we always do, society's problems.
Yeah, because we wouldn't want you guys to miss out on that.
Because
so,
do you
yeah.
know, if Tim or I were in charge...
Yeah, things would be so much
So-
better.
yeah.
At least I would agree with it more. So yeah.
Yeah,
No.
but let's get serious here. There's a lot of bad things going on in our world. There's always bad things going on, but in the situation that happened was it even a couple weeks ago yet? Maybe
Yeah,
it's still a week
2
out.
weeks ago. Of course, there's been a
Um,
couple since then.
Yeah, there was a school shooting. All right, I'm sure many of you have heard about this. Very tragic. Obviously,
Mhm.
none of us are in favor
Absolutely
of
not.
such things.
Mhm.
But what we want to focus on today with the rage is not necessarily, obviously, our hearts go out to all those people affected,
Without a doubt.
but we want to focus on what do we do now? You know, what is actually the problem? What's causing these horrible things to happen? And I'll show you. Look at and what we're going to take a look at today is, well, here's the example. We had the school shooting in Texas, and if you've looked at the news, where I was on vacation last week, and I'm pretty sure every single day there was some form of mass killing going on. There was a
Mhm.
person who drove a bus through a crowd of people in I think in Nashville, somewhere in the Tennessee area.
Yeah.
There's been several other shootings going on. And that's what I want to look at, because this actually has something to do with our society.
Mhm.
This is my belief. This is actually has some form of psychological proof that this does make sense.
Yeah.
And so today what we're going to talk about is why we are setting up for more bad things to happen once one bad thing happens.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm going to tell, like, look at it. We had the shooting in Texas. All right. And again, do not think that me and Tim our hearts don't go out to them.
Right.
We do. They
Yeah,
do
it's
entirely.
terrible. Mhm.
Horrible what happened. But what we want to talk about is how our society isn't doing anything to fix these things.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of the debates that we're having over issues we're not going to get into today are symptoms. You cannot fix a problem like violence by treating the symptoms. Whatever thing you want to do, everybody, and I know Parker, I'm sure, heard this watching the news, everybody screaming, do something, do something, do something. I get that sentiment. I truly do, because I would like to do something too. But doing something and doing the right thing, I mean, those aren't necessarily the same thing. Just doing something may or may not address
Doing
the problem.
something can be negative as well.
Yeah, it can make it worse even.
You have people, you have media begging, do something, do
Yeah.
something, and you have senators sitting in the chamber halls and everything like that, and it's saying,
And behind how
Yeah.
much armed security. Yeah. Mhm.
But and they're saying, well, we have to do this, we have to do this, and you know how we have so many people, and well, there's a lot of people that lead this nation, right? They all have a certain hand, and I'm pretty sure not a single one of them could probably agree entirely on what we can do to solve this problem.
Honestly, Parker and I probably don't even agree on what to do to solve
we
this
don't.
problem.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
there's a lot of debate, but the thing we don't want to do is have doing something be the answer. It doesn't even matter what it is. I mean, we can say everybody has to eat cereal for breakfast. Well, that's doing something, but that's not fixing anything either. So, I think when we get down to the issue, there's a difference between treating the symptom and treating the problem. You know, I can go to the doctor and the doctor can stitch up my arm, but if he doesn't pull the splinter out, it doesn't make any difference. And I think that's what we want to do, is we want to sew the wound shut without dealing with the cause of the injury. And there's something going on in our society today that would lead people to this. Yes, there's always been violence. I get that. But for somebody, and Parker and I were talking about this before we started filming, for somebody to decide the only way I could express myself is to go lock myself in a classroom and shoot unarmed little kids, what in God's name gets somebody to that point? I mean, there's got to be something terribly broken inside of that person to make them think that it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, I know this is not the case, but even if one of those little kids in that classroom were responsible for what happened to that person, even in that scenario, that still doesn't justify what happened. So, which they didn't. I'm not saying that they did, but there's no scenario where you could say, yeah, I kind of see where that guy's coming. There's just that doesn't exist for a sane person. And so,
however, what we have to realize, and this is what we want to talk about today. We had the incident in Texas, and ever since that one incident, we now have several more people that take what they saw in Texas and say, that's how I can do it.
Yeah.
You take one person who was in such a dark place that they acted the way they did in Texas, and it encourages a bunch of other people who are in dark places as well, saying, well, if that's how he did it, maybe that's how I should do it too. And
the sad part of that is if you decide to go down that road, okay, let's walk this way just a little bit. If you decide to go down that road and decide, I'm going to shoot innocent people, okay, whatever it is, I'm going to go do something violent and horrible. If you get to that point, even in an altered mindset, you still have to understand that scenario only ends in one of two options. It ends up with you in prison forever or dead. Mm-hmm. That's it. There's nothing beyond that. And so what could possibly make a person that devoid of hope, that drained of any kind of future aspirations, to say, I'm ending my life today in this horrible way? What gets somebody to that point? And I feel like that's the conversation we need to be having. Yes, there are people who need help. They do need help. Nobody's denying that. But what kind of help do they need? Mm-hmm. And that's the conversation that needs to start.
So I've done some research into it's a psychological thing, and the study was based upon elementary age kids. Okay, so it was one student, hears over the intercom, and you all have been through this situation. You have a student's name called over the intercom, and what do all the little kids do?
Oh, we've all done that one, yeah.
And so then the student gets up, walks down to the hall, and he's like, probably gets a red face because now everyone's like, oh, what did Jimmy do, and all those things. And then you get a student who
witnesses this.
Who witnesses this.
Yeah.
And so now the student who witnesses this realizes or comes to the point in life who's like, well, I'm not getting enough attention at home. I'm not getting recognized in class. I don't have good grades. I'm not getting, I'm not.
Yeah, there's something in life that's not the way I want.
I'm not in any cliques. I don't have any whatever it may be. All right.
I'm isolated. I'm whatever. Yeah.
Something comes up, so the person realizes, because believe it or not, attention is a big part of human life. Okay, we need some form of people. Humans can't live in isolation. All right. Mm-hmm. So if you feel like you're living in isolation, you're going to start to do crazy things because human interaction and it
keeps us grounded.
Yeah. And when I say interaction, it's giving any form of attention. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what I mean.
Yeah, attention is attention, good, bad, or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is, okay? So the student realizes, well, I'm not getting enough of what I need. I feel like I'm in isolation. So what the student does is does something bad, right? Does something on the playground or whatever it may be to get the principal or whoever it is to come over the intercom.
Because they witnessed the one kid who got his name called.
And all the attention he got.
Even if it was something innocuous, they witnessed that and thought, wow, gosh, I'd like to be that kid walking out of the class.
All the attention he got. Mm-hmm. Everyone was like, oh, all eyes were on him.
Because attention is attention, good or bad.
And when the student comes back to class, what's going to happen? Everyone in the class is going to be like, what happened? What'd you do? Mm-hmm. People are going to have interest in the kid. Mm-hmm. All right, so he realizes, well, he got interest by doing this, so I'm going to do it too. Yep. Now, you don't think that's how your mind might work. You don't think, oh, I got to do something bad. But in the society we live in, we recognize or draw attention to the negative way before we do the positive.
And that is no joke.
In my school, and this is, I'll take it back to when I was in school, which, again, I graduated high school.
Which was last week.
Congratulations. But when I was in intermediate school, we never, called off the names of honor roll. We never did anything like that.
Really?
The only time we had a person come over the PA and listed a student's name was either he got sick and his mom was here to pick him up, or he did something wrong and he's got to go to the principal's office.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I've heard people say that they've gone to school and they've called off the honor roll kids' names. Now, we may have gotten our name in the paper, but it wasn't in the classroom over people, everyone knew, oh, well, he was on honor roll.
Gosh, wow, okay, I didn't realize that.
It's not now obviously, we got the ribbons and but it was never Parker Miley's on honor roll and we're going to tell, the whole school and we're going to make it oh my gosh, big deal. We've got students on honor roll. That wasn't the thing. It didn't happen.
Okay.
Again, our name was on a list, and our list was put in the newspaper, and we got a little blue ribbon. All right, fair.
So the kids who are isolated aren't reading any of that stuff. They don't know any of that.
No, because what kid's reading the evening
leader?
That's
true.
Right? What
true.
intermediate kid's gonna read the evening leader until his grandma cuts it out and hands it on his desk?
Exactly.
Right?
And the kid's like, why is my name on this?
Thanks, Grandma. He's like, I'm not reading this list.
Yeah.
But okay, so that's one of the problems that I think a lot of us see, and it doesn't happen.
A lot of negative.
And it doesn't happen just in the school. Look at adult life. When, all right, say I'm reading the newspaper and I open it up and it is, oh, blank man does, whatever.
The police reports and all that
police
stuff.
reports and all those things. There's like, oh, well, he got his name on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now, again, I can't say it's true in little old St. Mary's, but because the Evening Leader does cover a lot of good stories. But look on your local news channels. Look on like Lima, like Fox Sound Lima, and all those things.
I've always noticed this. When something good happens and they're reporting on it, it's almost like, oh my word, here's something that never ever happens. This guy actually did this nice thing and stuff, and I actually saw that just this morning. I was scrolling my YouTube feed, and there was a story on there about a guy who tried to run over a lady and her baby. And he drove off and hit these two. And as he was going down the road, a guy saw what happened. So he took his car and hit the guy to keep him from getting away. And again, heroic that the guy did that and stopped him and so that guy could get arrested. But they were playing this as, gosh, can you believe there are people around who do this? And the answer is, I mean, we may not all get in car accidents with felons like that, but... there's a lot of good things happening. We just don't pay attention to it. We
don't give attention to it.
Right.
All right. Look all right. St. Mary's roughly population anywhere from 5,000 to 8,000 people. All right. That's the population. And so take that as the sample group here. In St. Mary's, let's look at over the weekend. All right. We had a First Friday event, which was very popular, went over very well from what I saw.
Huge. Yes.
We had the theater the theater that hasn't been open in the last 50 years or so. My entire lifetime hasn't been open.
It looks beautiful.
So that it was opened again finally, and they had musicians in there. Live music.
I was there. It was really cool.
It was very nice. I was able to go on Sunday, and we have a new mural up in town which looks beautiful. It's right off the Arts Place, and it's huge.
Humongous.
It is huge.
It's the size of a building on the side. It's huge.
And it looks great. It looks great. All these good things going on, and now I know the Evening Leader covered them, but again, I'd probably say the Evening Leader's fan base is of 500 people. Okay, I'm roughly. It's not very large.
But whether it is or isn't, there was still bad stuff in the Evening Leader also.
Yeah. So now, what you see is there's good things happening. There's people who gave tons of money for these projects to go on. There's people who gave tons of time for these things to go on.
And still doing it.
And it's still going on. But there's good things happening. There's good people doing good things, yet we don't recognize them in any way like we should.
I mean, even here at Wayne Street, I think about all the things that have happened over the last little bit. I mean, we just had a tremendous project go on our third floor. Any of you who've been up there to see it or would like to go up and see it, the third floor doesn't look amazing. It looks amazing up there. Such a change from the bombed out building it looked like before. And I don't know that, I mean, some people have went up there and come down and said, gosh, it looks great, which it does, but I don't know that anybody has been like, wow, what an exciting thing. How did we do this, and who was involved and all that kind of stuff. I don't know that anybody has pursued any of that.
Anyone who is like, you know what? The basement needs a serious renovation.
Yeah.
How can I help?
Yeah. No one has said that. That I will say. And, we're getting ready to do a renovation on the roof to keep the roof that's over our head right now from leaking and caving in and things. And a lot of people have committed to that over the years. I mean, prior to this, because we knew building of this size, eventually something's going to need fixed. We certainly were appreciative of all that, but I don't know that we made the big a deal out that we should have, because we all want to talk about the split in United Methodist Church, which we are not getting into today. But that's a very negative thing, and we'd rather focus on that than say, look at all this great stuff that's happening. We had pretty good attendance on Sunday, and we're doing a little sermon series from Zephaniah, a book nobody's ever heard of from the Bible, and
take that as a good thing or a bad thing.
yeah. But we're having a good time with that, and we've got a pool party coming up here in a couple of days, and a week from Wednesday we're gonna have a church picnic, and just get people together and do something positive. And I really think that go ahead.
And what I'm saying is, it's not a matter of just attending. It's a matter of
participating, being a part of what happens. Okay? Absolutely.
It's a matter of saying, okay, there's some way. All right, the picnic, we ask everyone to bring a covered dish, right? Bring a covered dish.
Yeah, or don't. Just show up.
Yeah, just show up and eat, right? But, participate in some way that it's not you're just being a warm body there sitting in a chair.
Or just being a part of saying, gosh, the whole world is falling apart. Well, we're going to give you a chance. I just listed 2 opportunities in the next, 8 days. The pool party on Friday and then the picnic next Wednesday. of coming together for something positive. We're not going to ask for an offering. We're not going to talk about the split. We're not going to talk about, the roof project. We're not going to talk about anything negative. We're just going to get together and talk about the weather or talk about the Reds. Well, I said positive, didn't I? my bad. But we're going to talk about good things and just celebrate being together and saying, gosh, it's my brother in Christ, and I appreciate getting, I love doing the Rage podcast with him, and we're going to go out there and do that. And Parker and I will probably be a part of a cannonball competition, which I fully intend to win. And, and just have a good time. And I feel like we neglect those opportunities to just focus on what upsets us and what's controversial and what's flashy and showy and something we can get upset about.
Because it's what we've been trained to publicize. So, and that's the big thing.
Retrain our brain.
Yeah. Publicize, hey, here in town, Wayne Street's doing a pool party. We have a picnic coming up. Publicize that good things are going on.
Yeah.
We all drive by the theater in St. Mary's. It's on Spring Street.
The theater's awesome too.
And you things are going on there. Publicize it. Say something good about it. Don't. Here's what's bad. Here's where we have a really big problem. The number one conversation starter in the world is something negative. It is.
And that's a symptom of that's a big part of the problem.
Look at it. You go to talk to someone. Did you see on the news last night? Did you see what happened? And that's the conversation. And then that drafts the entire conversation.
Yep.
Minimal conversations start with something positive, I feel like. And that is a huge problem, because all we do is give publicity. We give our attention to the negative.
And we celebrate feeling bad about things. And look, I'm not saying we want to put our head in the ground either and say, everything's sunshine and roses. Nah, that's dumb. We're not doing that either. But we got to have a balance to say that there are good things going on, because if you lose the balance, then everything's bad. And I'm sorry, it's tough to believe in a God who would allow everything to be bad. Holy cow, guys. So there's got to be something out there positive. And again, there's plenty of negative, right now I'm talking about some positive things that are happening. Sure, there are some people who are sick around the church. Sure, there are some problems that we're having, some concerns going on, and certainly this United Methodist split is putting a shadow over everything. But I'm not going to let myself go all the way down that road. I'm not going to say the road doesn't exist, but I'm not going to stay on it either. And we're going to do some lighthearted sermons. I know not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, Parker and Don have got something great planned for you guys. And we're trying to get past some of this, because I believe that the solution to the problem, not the symptom, but the problem we're facing as a world right now with all this violence and terrible things, is we never allow ourselves to celebrate anything at all. Everything is about negative. Everything is like Parker said. It's about how controversial can you be, and how upset can I be about it? How can I get online and complain about it and all these things? And I think at the end of the day, there's plenty out there to do that about. I think we've proven that. But we can't stay there. We can't live there.
And here's why. Bad things, when we publicize bad things, it produces more publicizing of bad things. And therefore, when someone wants, again, like we mentioned, when someone wants attention, well, they're going to do bad things because they recognize that it gets publicity. It's going to look at what happened in Texas. Everyone in America and many people around the world were like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
That was a horrible thing.
Yep.
And because of that, and that's how we started it. Now we have several other bad things happening because we had the epicenter, and now we're reaping some consequences because of it. I'm not saying that there was no bad things before the Texas shooting, but we had a big thing happen, and now we're going to have a lot of other bad things come along.
And the principle comes from my Psych 100 class back in my Ohio Northern days. And one of the biggest things I remember from this class, I remember the professor saying this, because I've seen this lived out so many times in my life, and it's this: behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. And that's true. Behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. So if somebody's craving attention, and we give a lot of attention to something that's terrible, then that behavior is going to get repeated. That's exactly what Parker just said. And so we've got to, stop that, or at least slow it down, and make sure that we're tempering some of this bad news out there with some good news and some positive things. And, we've talked about the Evening Leader, the newspaper here in town, a couple of times. I write an article in the Evening Leader every week. It used to come out on Mondays, now it comes out on Tuesdays. And it's there, and I'm not going to say they're all positive. If any of you read them, they're not all positive. But I try to take a lighter-hearted look on some things and try to balance it out. In fact, The article I just submitted this morning for next week, I'm complaining about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series, because I'm upset about it. And that's a pretty lighthearted thing no one cares about, but I wrote a whole article about how terrible I think it is. So that's how I am tempering serious things, because the article that was published this week that I wrote in there was about school shooting. In fact, it was about this very topic we're talking about. And so that's what we're doing, how dangerous despair is. That's a pretty heavy topic. So I'm now complaining about the Star Wars, which is kind of a great pastime of the United States right now. So, but at the end of the day, we're trying to mix these things up. We're trying to make sure that it's not all doom and gloom.
Tim
it's
provided
not all
a
blood and
balance.
guts.
Tim provides a balance.
There we go, balance. That's
no
what we're looking for.
no other media outlet. Where's the balance?
Yep.
Look. I mean, look.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look at. Turn on your news channel. This is the first time I think in the Rage podcast history I'm going to tell you turn on the news.
Yeah, but not for very long.
Not for very long.
Yeah.
But just probably sit there, and look at it, and say, "Wow."
Do I feel better or
yeah.
worse watching this?
When will the good thing come?
Yeah.
It won't.
It won't. Yeah. And
if it is something so minimally good compared to the bad things you just heard about that you're like, oh, that doesn't really do justice.
And Parker and I are perfectly willing to identify the hypocritical nature of us talking about this, and
Isn't
that we're
it
on
funny?
the Rage podcast. But look, we're trying to do what we said we were going to do, and that is we're trying to temper it a little bit. So we want you guys to see what's positive. Don't just allow yourself to go down that negative road. And look, if you're struggling, get help. Don't just sit there and wallow in it, because that makes it worse. Don't stay isolated. Don't stay on your phone.
Because clearly,
don't stay in the virtual universe, because that's not helping you.
Because clearly, people understand. I'm not a psychologist, but I understand when people need attention, they're going to do things to get attention.
They're going to get it.
I understand that, and people who are hurting, that's what they cling to. They cling to, well, if this is how I can get attention, well, this is how I'm going to do it.
And if you want an example of that, click on any social media.
Yep. But understand, people like me, people like Tim, and many more people like us, average Joes, okay, understand that life can be crappy, all right?
Mm-hmm.
It can be horrible. It can be rough, all right? I'm doing a sermon right now talking about how the Christian life is not one that's sunshine and roses all the time, all right?
Mm-hmm.
But life is difficult. Life has horrible, bad roads every once in a while. And there's people here that are willing to guide you through it, because do recognize...
Or walk through it with you.
Walk through it with you.
Yeah.
But do recognize that, look at my life alone, right? I'm walking down a certain path, and I have a person who went down the path several years before me. And now he's saying, here's the landmine, avoid it.
Yeah.
All right?
Don't step on this, yes.
So I mean, like, there's people who have lived a life and have experiences. The world has been around for 2,000 plus years, all right? At least.
Mm-hmm.
There's been people who have probably experienced everything you're already going through.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them.
Yes.
Ask them, how did you get through it?
Mm-hmm.
Help me get through this.
Yeah, because it's in community that we are strongest. There's a reason why Jesus said, where 2 or 3 are gathered, I am there. Instead of saying, if you're praying, I'm there. It's a whole different statement, because there's about doing life together. And isolation doesn't provide that, because isolation allows the bad things to become this unliftable weight. And nobody wants that. And that's what leads us to the place that we're trying not to go. So in all these things out there, as we're kind of wrapping up here, look, the weather's beautiful. There's some opportunities to get together. Go find some. If you happen to be watching this and you're not around the St. Mary's community, find a local church and get involved and go talk to them, because we cannot stay in this vortex of negativity. We can't stay there, because if we do, it's going to lead us to more problems like we've seen.
Tim says that. Tim says get involved. I say once you get involved, scream about it.
Yeah,
Tell the world about it.
Put it everywhere.
Put it everywhere.
Yes, yeah, because again, somebody else may say, "Hey, I kind of like to do that too."
You got social. Everyone has access to social media, which is literally one of the, pretty much the news outlet of the world.
Yeah.
Get on there and scream about something good that you know what? Sing your praises every once in a while.
Absolutely.
You did something good, recognize yourself for it. Say, today I blank.
Yep.
Whatever it was, something
because
good.
Behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like to see some good behavior get repeated rather than other stuff.
Horrible behavior,
yeah.
clearly.
So, all right, everybody, keep your chin up. And if you can, come join us here at Wayne Street. We don't care if you're a member. I don't care if we never saw you before. Come on out. We'll give you a hamburger, and we'll
talk about the weather.
And we'll talk about the weather. And I also have committed to beat every challenger in cornhole. So if you would like a free lesson in humility, I'm passing those out too. So come on out. We'd love to have you either at the pool party this coming Friday or the church picnic a week from Wednesday. Just come out. No pressure. We're just going to have a good time. So, love to see you. And, Parker, anything more for the good of the order?
Publicize it.
Do good and publicize it. And have a great day.